Welcome to another episode of the Mareathon. Life's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Lace up and subscribe today. There's a link below to subscribe, also to join the Mareathoner Facebook group. My name's Mare. Funny how that works. And thanks for clicking on this video. There's like a jabillion, yes, that is a real number, a number of videos on YouTube, and you clicked this one, and I'm very appreciative of that. Today, we are self-conscious. We have lipstick on our teeth. There we go. And I am just gonna talk about basically how I make money, what I do for a living, because I get a lot of questions about it. And I recently posted a video about being my own boss, because as I daily vlog, I'll usually just say, I just did 3 hours of work, but I never say what or how, and I kind of always just glossed over it because I thought it was boring, but then I got lots of great feedback on that video and follow-up questions, so that's what we're going to talk about today. And leave any questions like this down below, whether they're radio related, entrepreneur, starting your own business, working from home, being a single mom who works, like whatever, all that kind of fun stuff. I'd love to branch out into that. And posting 6 videos a week, mama needs content, so let me know what you would like me to entertain you with. So if you're new to my channel, first, welcome, hi, hello. I will just give you a quick backstory. My professional training and education is in broadcast journalism, so I went to school for TV and radio journalism, and I started out as a reporter and a news anchor. I always thought I would do TV news, and then quickly realized that it was not for me. Did radio news as a reporter and a news anchor for a few years, and I liked it, but I was not cut out for the aspect of the job where you have to like cover funerals and knock on people's doors and ask the questions of that you don't want to. Like I'm way too sensitive and way too like compassionate. I'd be crying, like asking the questions, holding the microphone, or just really not wanting to do it. So then a job came up at the radio station where I was working for a morning show co-host, and I never, ever thought I would do that. My story is basically like, whatever you don't think you'd ever do, just be mindful of that because you probably will. I never, ever, ever, ever considered being a radio host. I was always like journalism focused and TV focused. But the job came up and I was getting to that point where it didn't feel authentic anymore. So I applied for it and I got it. And then I did that morning show for a very long time, almost 10 years. And I loved it. I loved being able to talk about the news, because I still did news, but then community events and pop culture and like slice of life, if you will, and I loved it. I blossomed. I really came into my own on that show, and if you listened to the Sun Morning show, first of all, thank you. That's so nice. And second of all, like you would have really heard a progression of my life. But then I got to a point where for a few reasons, I decided to leave. Personally, like I needed to be home with Thomas and to help Jeremy, my husband who passed away last year. He was going through a really tough time with mental health, and I felt like I needed to be home. And also I had just like sort of, I think, peaked, and there was nowhere else for me to grow. And let's face it, getting up at 4 a.m., not for everybody, not for a lifetime. So I left Sun April of 2016, almost 2 years ago. But before that, I started my own business, and it like never did I ever think I'd be an entrepreneur. Never did I ever think I'd own a business. But I just knew that I needed to do something else professionally, and radio doesn't have a lot of transferable skills. Where else can I get paid to talk about Britney and Taylor Swift and the food drive that's coming up? Nowhere. So we dealt with a lot of clients at the radio station, and we had to talk about them on our Facebook page. But a lot of them had really like no Facebook or no social media, or what I consider to be not very good. And then I thought, what if I could like help them with their socials? So the year before I left Sun, I went to someone who I had known for a long time, years and years, because we'd worked with him through Sun, and just said like, hey, can I do your social media for free for like a few months, and then can you just tell me whether you think it's worth it? And within a few weeks he was like, this is fantastic, can I pay you, and can I tell my friends you need to do this professionally? And it just grew from there. My business just grew from word of mouth, people who knew someone who knew someone that needed social media, or they saw their socials and were like, hey, are you doing that? Who's doing that? And it just organically grew, and I started to get more clients, and then it got to a point where my income coming in from Redhead Mare Media surpassed my income coming in from the Sun Morning Show, and I was like, okay, this is a sign for me to leave. And also, like, at home, I just needed to be home. Yeah, I left. That's how my business started, Redhead Mare Media. So I help local businesses with their social media, their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And some of them, I just take their page and I do all of the posting. They send me content, or I go get content and I find the content for it. Others, we work in collaboration. And some I just like, I'm on a consulting basis, so they just pay me and I'll go in and like help them, sort of like instruct them on what to do, how to post, best posting practices. So not everyone needs me to run it full time. They just sort of need help out of the gate. Most of the time, then they just see like how much work it really is, and they just ask me to do it anyways. So that is how I've built my business, and I have quite a few clients, and they range from like diners, restaurants, nightclub, grocery store, nonprofit, other like social media marketers themselves. I have one client that they contract me, they help small businesses, so then they contract me out to then go help those other businesses get off their feet, or if they're struggling with their social media. And what I find is everyone understands that social media is important. Everybody understands that it's necessary, but not everybody either wants to do it, knows how to do it, has the time to do it, or the creativity to do it, because it takes a lot of creativity and a lot of work. And a lot of small businesses, they're also like the accountant, they're the plumber, they're the front of house, they're the management, they have to do the training, they like X, Y, and Z, and social media is just always gets like sloughed off. So enter Redhead Mare Media, and I do it for them. And I really think that my background in, you know, talking ad nauseum about community events and being like on a morning show where we talked pretty much every 3 to 5 minutes, and we came up with all our own content and we did our show ourselves. Like Farm and I did everything. So I'm used to having to come up with a lot of content all the time. And every client that I have is different. I post quite different content depending on who their ideal client is themselves, or what they're looking for, or what their business is, that sort of thing. But I'm just in such a mode of being able to come up with so much content and like get it out there, that seems to be what most people are looking for. So now I've been doing it for over 2 years, which never thought I'd be my own boss. Never thought I'd be like, being an entrepreneur was never ever something I thought of. But now it definitely has pros and cons, but the pros far outweigh the cons. I love being able to make my own schedule. I love being able to, like, for me as a woman who's raising a child with special needs, it's phenomenal because I can take Thomas to appointments, or pick him up from school, or meet with his ever-expanding team of experts, and I never have to like take time off work to do it. I can just work around it. If you watch my vlogs, you know I get up early in the morning sometimes and work, or very rarely I'll work in the evening and the weekend, that sort of thing. So the flexibility is great. But then if you're an OG like marathoner, you'll know when I left Sun, I never thought I'd go back on the radio ever. I was like, I'm done. I got the tattoo. Like, we're good. This is a good time in my life. A chapter closing, like whatever. And then I posted a video about this when it first came about. But then the station I work for now, New Country 100.7 and New Country 103.1, they approached me and wooed me. They wooed me hard. So I kind of just looked at them as like another client, you know. I'm only there for a short period of time every day, and I just kind of added them to my roster as a client. I just work as like a contract worker, very, 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 very part-time. But what's been nice, initially I was doing weekends, and then after Jeremy passed away, I just couldn't anymore because I had no one to like watch Thomas, and it would not have been worth it for me to get a babysitter every weekend, nor would I want to. So I stopped doing weekends and then took time off, and then I've been covering someone's mat leave, like the midday show, and really enjoying it way more than I ever expected I would, because it's nice to go into an office, it's nice to be part of a group, have colleagues, and like be part of a team, but then also like I'm out. That's my day. So it's been very surprising, again, with the story of like never thought I would do that, never thought I would go back on the air, and here I am, and loving it so much that when my mat leave coverage is up in June, I don't want to leave. Like, what else can you find me to do, because I don't want to go anywhere. So that's another little pocket of my work. So I have my social media business, which I do 6 days a week. I really try hard not to work on Sundays. And then the radio, which I do 5 days a week. And well, for the next while, I'll be on 7 days a week. And then my other sort of aspect of work would be YouTube. But it definitely, I would say like 1% of the time does it ever feel like work, ever. To me, this is my hobby, and it's a hobby I take very seriously. I am not a YouTuber who makes a lot of money, like so small that it's like hardly worth even claiming on my taxes small. Like, you could barely have a meal on it is how much I make in a month. So I'm not in this for the money. If I could do YouTube and this be my entire job, that would be fantastic, but it's not. This is what I do for fun. But I have created, you know, the Mareathoner community and my channel and this group. So it sort of adds to my income in that I sell merch. That's the only real way. Like, if you're a marathoner and you're wondering like, how can you support me financially? Merch. Subscribe to my channel and watch the videos and tell your friends to do the same thing. That's basically it. Or if you're a company and you would like to do some sort of like sponsorship, I'm all for that. I don't really, just because my channel's not big enough, no one's interested in me. I would love to expand on that, and I would love for that to be part of my income, but it's not right now. So that, in a nutshell, a very long, convoluted nutshell, is my job. What do you do for a living? Let me do a 10-minute video about it first, and yeah. Okay, a few questions from you. I got a question about building a clientele base, if I find that being a public persona made it easier, and how do I decide to who to take on. Definitely it's easier for me, I think, to get clients, because people have already built a trust and a relationship with me from being on the radio, and not just being on the radio, but also like being at a lot of fundraising events and community events and emceeing stuff. So being on the air unintentionally, I was building a rapport with future clients without even knowing it. Plus, they know me, they know my personality, so they know what they're going to be getting. If someone's looking for a certain kind of social media that I can provide, that's great, but I've definitely had people not work out because they were looking for something that I can't provide, which is fine, because there's so many different like flavors and tastes and creativity on social media. How do I decide who to take on? I meet with them first and I try to get a good vibe, and some I have just been like, this is not gonna work out, because like, it's my time, it's my name. I've never been approached by a business that made me uncomfortable, but if they did, I would be like, absolutely not. But for the most part, most people are great, and you know, I don't do any advertising myself, which I know sounds ridiculous since I do social media marketing, but I don't promote my business. It's all word of mouth, and to the point where I've had to hire like a very, very pseudo, very part-time assistant, because I was getting to a place where I was gonna have to put people on a wait list and I didn't want to. So I don't advertise, but it seems like the word of mouth just kind of works for me. Do I ever approach companies or let them come to me first? I have approached some businesses, but I am no longer in the business of trying to convince people of the importance and the merit of social media. So no longer will I try and seek out people who need to be taught that. There's enough people who know it. And those who don't understand it or don't think that it's necessary or don't want to do it, those will end up being the hardest people to work for. And I don't need to. So no, I don't usually. How do you know what to charge for your services? To be frank, it's just been a learning experience. Initially, my costs were way too low. And now as I've gotten to realize like how much time it takes me, what my time is worth, what my energy is worth, I've been able to build my price list. But I also really, each contract is quite specific and quite different depending on what they're gonna need from me. So my prices are all over the place. Yeah, so this ended up being way longer than I expected, and I hope you enjoyed it. That is it for today's episode of the Mareathon. Please lace up and subscribe to my channel. Life's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And in today's marathon, you found out how I pay my mortgage, basically. If you would like more videos about being an entrepreneur, owning your own business, being a working parent, being on the radio, I will, yeah, do more of these. Also, it's always linked below if you want to listen to me on the air. Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 Pacific Standard Time, and for the foreseeable future, Saturday and Sunday as well, 9 to 3. But thanks for watching. If you have any more questions, let me know, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.